Well, first thing I want to say is, being this week with Coaches versus Cancer, and I wear these shoes because they gave them to me for people that are fighting cancer at Sparrow, and they all signed them. And one of the more inspirational things I get to do is tell my team that they're fighting to win a game, and there's people fighting for their lives. And so let's keep that in perspective a little bit. I really appreciate the way we've handled that as an athletic department here. The game was interesting. I felt like the first 5 minutes we had 5 turnovers and we really weren't playing very well. But our defense, and that's what they say, your defense is stifling. And in all the years I've been here, I thought the first half of basketball was one of the best halves defensively I've seen my teams play in a variety of different ways. And so then we started taking care of the ball and moving a little better. I still wasn't pleased with our offense. Even the ball movement, we just don't look real sharp. We looked sharper at the end when we got the ball in and got it out. So then we had a big talk at halftime on what we're going to do, because we've been notorious lately for giving up a ton of points in the second half, 42, 44, and the goal was to keep it under 35, and I guess we were right on that goal. But again, we turned the ball over 3 times in the first 3 minutes of the second half, but yet only 9 for the game. I thought some of the highlights were my guards. Trey played very well, but Jason, Jeremy, having 14 assists and 1 turnover was impressive. Book did some good things, made some free throws. Cohen, just a human highlight film, and I thought early Shaman did a good job. He got 4 offensive rebounds in the first 5-6 minutes. But our defense was pretty good 90% of the time against a team that has been really playing well. And Dawson Garcia was not very good the first time we played him. And, boy, he did some nice things this time, and we put a lot into him. I thought the difference was those 2 guards that have been pretty good here in the last couple of weeks did not play as well. I think we deserve some credit. They probably deserve a little blame. But that's a good team. We had shots blocked at the rim, I think 3 or 4 layups. They got some athletes. They got a couple good young players. And I was just happy to get the win and still accomplish some goals. The rebounding was good, 13 offensive, and they only had 5, and overall 40-22 was a pretty good stat. So I guess I'll take some questions.
And Tom, over here on your left, I believe you keep talking about the desire for consistency being the key. I think this is, unless I missed something, the first time in your 30 seasons you have a team that didn't lose in either December or January. How hard is that to do, to get up every single night and not put a clunker out there every once in a while?
Wow, I didn't even know that. The battle cry is to be different, not give in to all those things. I'm sticking with it. I believe in it. I think the road's going to get tougher. I told you it's backloaded. I think everybody's by now has checked the schedule and realized that I think all but one of our next 11 games, if you win, would be a quad 1 win. That kind of tells you a lot, and yet I don't want to diminish what we've done either, because we've done some incredible things, and we have stayed focused. Most of those games we've won. Sometimes we had little letdowns, but we won pretty decisively, and we've won it with our defense. Again, we hold the team. They shot 41-35. That was one of the best somebody shot against us in a while, I think. So give them credit on that after that start. But, I'm proud of the team for staying consistent. You all know by now we're supposed to get home at 7. We got home at 3, 4 in the morning, and that is some adversity that we had to deal with. And the next day, we pushed the practice back. We pushed the meetings back. Tried to get something out of them, but players, coaches were all tired, and they fought through it. So credit goes to them. All the credit goes to them.
Tom, this is sort of on a similar theme, but I think it was after a Trey Holloman turnover earlier in the second half. It seemed like you or kind of slammed your fists on the scorer's table. And I'm curious, when you have those sorts of sloppy mistakes and things that happen in a game, how do you balance those in one game with being on a 13-game win streak, 9 of those in the Big Ten, and all the success?
Yeah, I've been in this long enough where it's about getting better every game right now, I said at the beginning of the year, I thought 4 or 5 losses would win the league. This is going to be insulting to my own team, but I'm not backed off that much. I still know there's some things going on here ahead of us, and our job is to make sure we get the best version of each player that we can get. And we've had a tendency to get sloppy in the second half, and so I'm smarter than Judd. I smashed the padded table, and he smashed his head. So I think I did a hell of a job to adjust to the 30-year time difference, to be honest with you.
Tom, actually, to follow up on what you just said, how frustrating is it for those first couple minutes of the second half, because it takes away from the performance that you guys have in the first half?
It also gives me a chance to coach, do my job, earn my money. But it is frustrating. I think, Jaden struggled tonight, and he's one of our guys that has to be – we need him. We need him offensively, and we need him defensively. And, I think right now we're making some good shots, bad shots. It was interesting. I talked to Steve Smith earlier this morning, and just watching on TV is one of the things he came up with, and I really do agree with him. But I don't think we're as sharp as we need to be offensively. Our break, I asked Jeremy to push it on a right. I thought he did a hell of a job. They did a pretty good job getting back. But I thought he did a hell of a job tonight, pushing the ball. I thought Jace did. I thought Trey did. I don't think the rest of our wings were always running, And so we're going to really, the hard part is taking some time. I'm going to have to do it tonight because it's move on, to really look at what we got to get better at. And that'll be what we'll do, what I'll do tonight anyway. It is frustrating, but still pretty good performance.
I'm wondering where you feel the ball flow was maybe the stickiest, because it did look like, with all the rebounds you guys were getting, you were able to, the guys were kicking out and getting it going. Was it your guards or was it their defense? Because it seemed like, especially early, they were playing you guys on the break.
They are very good defensively, and they, with Garcia, they could switch 4, and that created some problems for us. Now we're going to play a team in USC that can switch 5. So, there's some things, and then that was, what I do with my team is, I coach for this game, but the day of the game, once the hay's in the barn, when I got a 2-day prep, I try to look ahead, and so sometimes when things go wrong, I know what's coming down the road. And I think you got to give them some credit. But we're still standing too much, and we're still not running deep enough in our lanes. And I got a couple days to earn my money, put it that way. And yet, I think you said it best. You're kidding yourself if you think everybody can stay up at this level. 10, 12, 13 games in a row. And for the most part, we've done a pretty good job of that. So kudos goes to the players for that. But it doesn't mean that I got a job too, and my job is to make us the best team we can be and them the best version of themselves they can be. And that's what I'm going to continue to focus in on.
Coach, only 51 points allowed tonight. That's the least amount you've allowed in a game so far this season. So what was different about the defensive effort tonight, and what can you take from tonight into this road trip in California?
It was swarming. I thought we did a good job in the scouting report. Even a couple of their guys said something to me. I thought we were swarming on those ball screens. We got up with our bigs. And I keep giving my marketing gals credit. But, even some people from their team said to me, crowd was unbelievable, and we didn't even do enough to get them going early. But, when you have an 8 o'clock game on a on a Tuesday night, and we're getting the crowds that we are and the way they are, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank them for it first. And I think that helps our defense. I think the crowd gets you going. The crowd, and then when Cohen, dunks the ball with his ankles, that helps too.
Coach, depth has been a huge factor in your team's success so far. It seems like you've got a new guy stepping up every night, and it's a team effort. How do you think this is going to carry your team throughout the rest of the season?
Well, I hope it'll carry it good. Every once in a while you do need a real go-to guy, and I understand that, and we're going to have to work a little harder on that as a staff. But the strength in numbers thing is real, and now the second half of the season, as teams are wearing down, as this travel does hit you, I'm hoping it'll help. I don't know. It's new territory. We've never had it quite like this, and we never traveled like we're going to be traveling, out there, get home Wednesday morning at 6, 7 in the morning and play again Saturday against a real good Oregon team. So we got our work cut out for us in the next 3-4 games, but this is where that depth should really help you, I hope.
Tom, when you got a guy, I'm sure there's been different scenarios and situations, but when you got a guy that's playing sort of his hometown team like Trey, is he a guy that you worry about like having to dial it back in? He makes it too personal? Is he just the same as any other game? And obviously how important was that little stretch he had late in the first half for you guys tonight specifically?
I mean, I think our team takes it personal. Like I got a text from some of them, whenever where we went. Played Colorado, they wanted to win that one for Jace. We played Texas, they wanted to win that one, or a team down there. If we play it, wherever we've played from, out east it was Kerr and them. And they actually talk about that as a team. And the difference is there's no animosity. It's not like I hate the hometown. Trey has great respect for Ben and their program, and he was recruited here, I think, before Ben even got the job. He was just getting there. And so there's none of that. And he was jacked because he's made some shots. We haven't made 3 threes in a row since I don't know, a while. So I think he was just pumped for that. It was no anything against Minnesota in any way, shape, or form. It was very, they were good, we were good. It was very classy and hard fought. And they play hard too. Don't kid yourself, they play hard.
Coach, to your right here, Ben Johnson, right before, said for the first time in a few years, he felt like you guys couldn't take them lightly coming into a game and had to dial it up to 10. What was the mentality planning for Minnesota this time as opposed to a couple weeks ago?
He's right. I mean, he got championship prep. I mean, what does that mean? It should all be the same. And like I said, we all know that there's coach speak and then there's not. But this game was concerning for us because we didn't have a great matchup for Garcia, and those guards had really been playing well. And our guards, I thought, Jeremy and them did a pretty good job right off the bat, and it took them out of it a little bit. But, I think, I always give some of these coaches credit, and Ben is one of my favorites, okay? Because I think he's gone through a lot there without the maybe support that some of us have. But if you look at when they scored, there were a lot of plays out of timeouts, OTAs we call them. And that's when you know a team's well coached, They scored a lot after that. The other thing is, 2 weeks ago, they were almost pronounced dead. And when you can get a team up and do that, I think you're a hell of a coach. This team's going to win some games. I really believe that. And the problem is now, and you get in this league, 20 conference games is a lot. I used to think 16 was a lot. Then it went to 18. I said the extra 2 is like 4 regular games, 2 conference games. Then we go to 20. So it's a lot harder. And but we took them with seriousness and respect. And that proved something to me, too, that my team understood what we were telling them and didn't take anything lightly, that's for sure, even though we missed some shots and layups. And we played hard and we played the way we needed to play to start the game out, and that was good for us.
Tom, two things. So 40-22 rebounding, but they had 5 offensive rebounds. Did it feel like they were so concerned about your break and they were getting back, they were not going to get beat on that?
Yeah, I think he picked his poison, and I think he picked it right personally. And if you look at, we had 17 fast break points, but they were a different kind. We didn't have the ones for lobs all the time and this and that. So I felt like they did a good job, but that's where our break could be really dynamite, because that's the way it used to be, where teams wouldn't offensive rebound as well because they were sending people back.
In the last 2 minutes and 43 seconds, you've been talking about guard rebounding. Kurt Teng was listening. He had more rebounds tonight than any non-center. And then Garrick Norman gave up his body and dove like that. How does it make you feel to know those guys are hanging in there despite not getting minutes?
Well, my man Doug Wojcik, at the last couple of games when we were up enough, especially like at Rutgers, and we want to get those guys in. You guys come to practice. Jesse, Kerr, and Garrick are about as good a scout team guys as I've had in a long time. And they've really gotten better playing on the scout team. And yet you can only go so long and never playing a game, I put them in with like 15 seconds left in that game, which is the only reason I did it. Both their parents were there, and I want them to say they played at Madison Square Garden in case we never play there again. But that's almost insulting, and I did apologize to them for that, because I normally wouldn't do that if it wasn't the situation of Madison Square Garden and family. But tonight, when I said in the timeout, I want to get these guys in. They're good enough to play if it's a tight game, and I really mean that. And if you would have seen our players, Jace and Trey and Coop, they were so fired up, Jeremy, for those guys, and that told me a lot about my team. So we're making progress. I just think the road's going to get a little rocky here, so hang on.
Tom, Ben was talking about the connectedness of your team, maybe being a little bit different this year. He said to the point that he could feel it when he was on the floor, the buy-in. What do you think of that? And do you sense that a little bit different from the last few seasons?
Yeah, and I don't know totally why. I don't blame the players that were here. I blame me. I said I got to do a better job of doing that, and I stuck to some of my standards that a relationship-based team is still more important, and this craziness that's going on, it made me even more driven to make sure I did more things that would help us be connected. So I think my staff deserves a little credit for that, but I think the players deserve a lot of credit for that. They bought in, and it's not like we act like they're playing 10 minutes a game. It's not that way at all. And I said, it's going to start separating a little bit probably. But we got a good base now that if something happens, we're going to be in a better position to handle it. If we have to play small against somebody, a little better position. If we have to play big against somebody else, we're a little bit more connected and have the ability to do that. That's some roadkill on that. Everybody's wants to do more, score more, this and that. So I think the players deserve the credit, and they've bought in, but I think they really believe in it too. And so far it's been a lot of fun, and I just wish that we'd get a little better offensively now. We got to make better shots. We had some good shots early, we just missed them. And I think we got to execute our offense a little better. So that falls on me, and I'm going to do a better job tonight on that.
Tom, over here. What could a night like tonight do for Jackson, seeing those shots go down, shooting them, and watching them go down? And what could that do for your team if that does happen?
If him and Book are my two spacing four men that can do some of that and can make some of those shots, and I I think he can do a lot, but Jackson was at his best when he was getting every rebound early in the year and scoring around the post. He's lost a little bit of that, so it'll help a little bit, but meat and potatoes, we got to get him the ball in the block, and he's got to score. You know, the first half, we didn't punch the ball in much, and because of that, we went to the line 6 times. We didn't get any free throws. That was my fault, our fault. So finding a balance would probably be the best thing, but just seeing him hit a shot, the guys were so happy in the locker room for him because they know he's been struggling with that. 1 or 2 more? Appreciate you guys. Thanks.